Hi, I'm Alex Kidman from Fatback Tech, and I'm sitting in a slightly underlit hotel room having a first look at the Samsung Galaxy Tab S. The Galaxy Tab S is Samsung's play at the premium market. As such, it commands a slightly premium price. It's comparable to an iPad, slightly cheaper in Australia, but not by a huge amount. And obviously this is a market in which Samsung has a lot of tablet products. If you want a Samsung tablet, you've got no shortage of these things. This one's the premium model, which means the design it's quite nice. Look, this is just a first look, just an early examination. But nicely smooth corners, it's nicely thin, it's nicely light. The screen is quite good, and it's reasonably high powered. I'll run a benchmark on it slightly shortly, which I should be able to show you as you're watching this. The obvious competitor to it, of course, is Apple's iPad, and I've got one of those here too, just for the sake of comparison. And the iPad's slightly more expensive. I tend to view that the iPad ecosystem is a little bit more advanced than Android, but certainly Android is catching up fast, and for all of the basics that you're likely to want, they're very, very close, if not exactly comparable. The Tab S screen, of course, is the big thing that Samsung's playing off. It's an extremely high definition screen, and they're very keen to kind of talk that up as a feature. Super AMOLED, as Samsung is wont to do, in one of two sizes. This is the larger 10.5-inch model, but there's a smaller model, slightly cheaper, which is also available. The Tab S is quite a nice looking device. There is an obvious kind of design nod to what they've done with the Galaxy S5 that you can see there. It is nice and thin, and the edges are quite well presented. This is a good tablet feel in the hand at a reasonable kind of price point. Now this is interesting. Geekbench 3 on Geekbench 3. Now I don't want to pretend that benchmarks are the be-all and end-all of everything, and Samsung have said that this is a pre-production unit, but that's the Samsung on the left there and the iPad on the right. Samsung were at pains to tell me this is a pre-production model, so it might be a little bit quirky as I test it, but having said that, there's not that much difference or distance in terms of the time they're going to release it, so they can't really do that much to it. Now here's the two screens side to side. The iPad on the top, the Galaxy Tab S on the bottom. The Galaxy Tab S screen is really very nice. It is very nice, high resolution. I think, and this is gut feel, this is just first observations kind of stuff, that the color temperature on the iPad might be a little bit better than on the Tab S. But again, lighting and tolerances can play a factor there. If you want a quick, thickness comparison, there's the Tab S next to the iPad Air. The reality, from even just a small amount of use, is that actually they're both perfectly pleasant tablets to hold in the hand. They're reasonably light. They work pretty well in landscape or portrait mode. At least with the Tab S in Australia, and this has been a problem for some time with a lot of Samsung devices, you can finally actually edit the page and drag and drop icons from the dock. For the longest time in Australia, that wasn't a done thing. Samsung won't entirely say why, but it was only very recently that you were actually able to do this, and certainly the Tab S does not seem to have that problem. The Samsung launcher, look, it isn't the greatest. I've never particularly thought so, and your tastes, of course, may vary. But the nice thing, of course, with Android is that you can throw whichever launcher you've got on it. In terms of provided apps, there's a bunch of them, although whether or not all of these will be in the final Australian one remains to be seen. There's some nice inclusions here, but nothing absolutely critical. Samsung, of course, remains running its own app store alongside Google Play because it likes that kind of thing, which, of course, potentially means that you're updating multiple things. The particular model I'm looking at here is the 4G model, but I don't have a SIM in it, so I can't really comment on its effectiveness there. But yeah, this is a nice responsive device. Certainly within the Android space, it's nice to have a nice premium tablet choice. I'm not going to pretend that I've done any kind of exhaustive review here. This is just hands-on, immediate observations on what it's like to use. I'll need a lot more time with it to come up with any kind of final conclusion as to whether or not it's an actual worthwhile purchase. It's certainly a very interesting device in this space because historically Samsung's gone up against Apple in the premium space and been knocked back time and time again. Consumers have bought iPads. And while Samsung still has plenty of budget devices, coming up with a premium device and seeing whether it'll sell, now that's going to be really interesting.